Happy holidays and welcome to Scones and Bones episode 3. Today we are celebrating the holidays. We celebrate Christmas. If you want to grab yourself a festive beverage, whatever you enjoy, we have eggnog. Mine is a plant-based eggnog with bourbon.
Yeah, I have a normal eggnog, which is
probably
a bit
much
unfortunate
tastier
for my stomach. But we got like a fancy Bacardi, like a gold rum for this, which is good, but it's definitely, this is a very strong drink. You can see I tried to do the cool little sugar on the rim, you know?
Yeah, mine's just in a jar. I didn't follow a recipe. I just put a little bit of bourbon, but I feel like I can taste it way more than I expected. What did you do? 1 part bourbon, 2 parts eggnog?
That's what the recipe told me. Well, because it said 1 ounce of bourbon and 2 ounces of eggnog. So I'm like, okay, a shot is like an ounce, right?
Yeah, some shots are 2 ounces, but that's the same ratio, yeah.
Yeah, so that's what I did, and that's what's in my little cup here, and it's very boozy.
We're gonna have a festive, fun, silly, lighthearted holiday episode, and Audrey is actually going to be telling us about the spooky whatever it is.
Shall I reveal what the spooky thing related to Christmas is?
Yeah.
I know everyone's on the edge of their seats. But today we are discussing Krampus.
Spooky. I don't know much about Krampus at all. I'm sorry.
I really like that. Spooky. I want to hear the way you pronounce Krampus, first of all.
Krampus.
That's fun. Yeah, I watched a lot of videos where people talked about it. And have you ever seen Inglourious Bastards?
Is that the one where they scalp people?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, there's this amazing German actor in it. He plays a Nazi, but he's great, and he has videos where he's talking about it in interviews because Americans are apparently so dumb we don't know what it is. But the way he says it is really crazy, and I wanted to try it because it's he goes Krampus.
Krampus? Is it
Krampus?
That noise?
Yeah, you get a lot of that back of the throat, Krampus.
Krampus?
So,
Krampus?
Krampus.
Krampus?
Krampus.
30 minutes of Audrey
20
and
minutes
Michaela
later.
just going, Krampus. I'm sorry. I don't know if I'm saying it right, but that's interesting. Yeah, I didn't know that.
What is interesting, too, about that is it's a thing in the Alpine regions, I guess we'll call them for the sake of this video, because it includes, Austria, Germany, and then, parts of, Switzerland and a little bit of France and Italy. Yeah, so I thought it was interesting because, I don't know about you, Michaela, but for me personally, I always thought Krampus was, some random kind of bit of mythology. Oh, she's gotta not do that. My cat's licking the door. Do you hear her? You know how there's just a noise in your life that invokes so much rage and something that's so cute and little all of a sudden just becomes the object of that rage? Why does she lick the door? She does it recreationally. By the way, check out this sweater.
Yeah, your sweater is very cute. I'm wearing a sweater that my friend Mary Kate gave me as a surprise. It's got a skeleton.
I love it.
It's not super holiday-y, but it is spooky, and it is bones. So therefore, for
it is appropriate. I would like to start my little spiel the way I did last time, which is I'm asking you, how much do you know, what do you know about Krampus, and what is your understanding of this whole
So legend? I know the image of Krampus, how he's kind of like a goat devil man. I know he shoves naughty kids in a sack.
Well, we're going to jump deep into the depths, because I really wanted to figure out what the original source of this legend was. Currently, in modern days, it is still, like I said, a part of the holiday season, but there's actually a day called Krampusnacht.
Night? Krampus night?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And a celebration called Krampuslauf, which stands for Krampus Run, which is essentially a parade. And these events take place on December 5th because in the historic celebration of, I guess, St. Nicholas, that whole tradition of him going around leaving coins in your shoes was on the 6th of December, actually.
Okay, I know that.
Yeah, and then, so Krampus would be on the eve of St. Nicholas's visit on the 5th. And that's the day when, still to this day, in parts of like Austria and Germany, they have this parade where full-grown men get in these horrifying costumes. If you Google Krampuslauf or Krampusnacht, it's crazy, and they go around and people like watch it like any other parade, but they really they interact with and scare the people who are watching, which I think is like a nightmare scenario. It's like paying to go to those haunted houses. Krampus derives from a female figure in the pagan religion called Perchta, and that's Perchta. And so this, I guess she was like a goddess in the pagan faith, who is strongly associated with the winter festivals and that whole celebration where you kind of warded off evil and kind of prepared for the long winter.
Which pagan, and is this like specifically
this
like Northern
Austrian.
European? Oh, so Austrian paganism?
Yeah, largely the Austrians are cited in the original.
Okay, because like the Celtic pagan faith did not have anything like this goddess. I don't know. There's integrations from all of it. It's really hard to pinpoint these things, you know. And that's why they're all called pagan, and they don't have like their specific names.
Yeah, so I guess that's a good point. This is like Austria that these historic pagan that we believe that they came from, and then it kind of spread throughout the Alpines and then throughout Europe, and it made its way. Basically, this figure Perchta was a female god who would, very much like Sinterklaas or Santa Claus, would go around and punish bad children and reward good children. The good children would get coins in their shoes, which is a very familiar thing. The bad kids, however, would get their guts slit open, disemboweled, and stuffed with straw and stones.
Why? Okay, wait. At first you freaked me out, but for some reason, like cutting someone open and stuffing them with straw, I've heard that somewhere.
So it's interesting because there was actually, I don't know the exact reference, but apparently the Grimm brothers have some inclusion of Perchta in some of their stories. So we used to read a lot of those. I think it's interesting because obviously the Grimm brothers have a strong association with that region, and so the legends coming from it would definitely have a role in their stories. So anyway, I guess there was a celebration back then too, where they had Perchtalauf.
Okay.
Which was another parade celebration type thing where they, I guess, paid homage to this deity or warded them off. It's kind of hard to really know which they were doing, or maybe a winning combination of the two.
Yeah.
But around this era, the Christian church was, you know, getting their tendrils all up in everything, and they were kind of like, that's not cool, guys. Like, no. Mm-mm.
Let's not cut children open. The thing about that, like, cutting a kid open because they were naughty. Was anyone like, oh man, Phil, you know, just it's a shame he got cut open and stuffed with straw last night, you know?
That is such a good point, actually.
Like, why would they like say something so crazy? Like getting coal from Santa Claus, it's like, okay, if you get coal, like that's just like to symbolize you've been bad, but like literally dying,
a violent death.
Like, is it just
because you didn't eat your broccoli?
So threatening that you're not supposed to be bad enough to potentially even get to the point where that might happen to you?
I think it's another one of those kind of formative childhood things that we use, like the Tooth Fairy or the Easter Bunny, where it's like, oh, you better be good or else Perchta's gonna come rip your guts out. Like, you know, I'm sure they were far more hardcore than us, so.
I mean, that's true. Maybe life was just much more shorter and fast.
Yeah.
Shorter and fast? I meant hard and fast.
Short and fast. Hard and fast. That's kind of dark. So they tried to kind of like compromise by including St. Nicholas. Oh, something else I forgot to say about Perchta. Since she did both of those things, there's also representations of her where she's like this really beautiful woman in white, and then she, I guess, transforms into this horrendous old hag. And I guess there's depictions of her as both, and I think that's associated with her, like, 2 respective jobs, I think, if that makes sense. So anyway, they were like, okay, we'll throw Saint Nick into the Perk de Lauf, because obviously Saint Nick existed in the Christian religion at that point, and there's stories about Saint Nick as well, but we won't get into that for the sake of this. But, so they kind of started integrating them with one another to please the Christian church, and that worked for a little while, but over time they still wanted to make it less pagan, more Christian, while not completely demolishing their Austrians' beliefs and traditions. So what they did was they kind of rebranded Perkta into Krampus, I guess. And Krampus more closely resembled the devil. The horns, the kind of satyr-looking humanoid
He's
thing.
the goat man.
Yeah, the goat man. And he represented the evil side of Perkta's responsibilities, punishing bad children. And there's a number of different ways that people believe Krampus punishes. There's whipping, there's dragging you down to hell. Some people think Krampus eats the children. So there's a lot of different theories about that. But basically they became that kind of dual responsibility team through that kind of original legend with Perkta, where she was that kind of dichotomy of good and evil, transformed into Krampus and Saint Nick, because that obviously perpetuates Christian beliefs. You know, the devil represents evil, and then Saint Nick is this godly figure who's like the doer of good things. So that's pretty much it on Saint Nick. I mean,
And that's it on Saint Nick. Krampus is not so much like a cryptid or like a spirit. He's almost more of like a demigod or something like that.
It really feels like that. It's like, you know, they have these holiday celebrations just like we do for the reasons that we do, which is like some level of catharsis during the stressful times of the year. So
Get together,
I don't
have a
think...
feast, get a fire, get all
Yeah.
cozy, you know. Not
Exactly.
this year, maybe, but...
You tell your children these legends so that they'll behave well, but it's also kind of like a fun little thing to do, and it's just something like that. I didn't see any kind of like historical accounts where people thought that Krampus was genuinely coming for them, and I think that has a lot to do with the fact too that it was a legend like specific to children, which indicates that it wasn't really strongly feared by the community. It was just something for the kids.
As kids, we got told, you know, if you're bad, you won't get as many presents and you'll get cold in your stocking. I don't know if there was ever really a real threat.
I have a couple pictures and videos actually, or not videos, just a couple pictures that I collected that I could show you, and we can flash them on the screen too. This is actually the image that's on Wikipedia, which I know is the best of sources, but this definitely looks like an old print
Maybe
of some
like
sort.
1800s.
That's what I was thinking. And I literally couldn't find any information on it, but it looks like it starts to possibly say Perkta down here. And obviously this is like a somewhat feminine figure.
Or something.
Yeah. So that's an interesting one that I'd love to know more about.
Hi, voiceover Michaela here. When I went to download this image to use in the video, I noticed the file name was Masopust Drisme. So looking up that name, I found a few other images with that same name and what looked to be page numbers. I also found this video of a bunch of kids dressed up in costumes for Masopust. And then I found this picture of what looks like a mask that is literally the mask in this picture. So doing another Google search, I found this image again with a character that looked suspiciously like Krampus. That led me to this. I would just like to say thank you, Vladimir, for uploading. Anyways, there was a link on this page showing that this actually was used on the Krampus page. So I got very excited and thought maybe I was actually going to find some useful information. And then I found this page, which once translated into English did not provide any help. So then I found a translator, and it was kind of confusing, so I decided to try and translate Masopust. Means Mardi Gras.
Like I said, it's really hard to trace these things. And then I just have some other generic images of Krampus. But these are interesting because I thought they were very heavily, what's the word? Christianized. So here you can obviously see there's like some feet in the bag upside down.
Yeah.
And he was looking very devilish, and then Saint Nick is like clutch.
No, Saint Nick looks like, and there, very much looks like
a priest or the Pope.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't even see. Yeah, there he is, shoving kids in a snack. A snack?
Yes. He's shoving his kids in his sack for a snack.
For a snack later, yeah.
A lot of these postcards were created depicting Krampus for the holidays, so that was the first time it became like an international symbol associated with Christmas, because prior to that it was just St. Nicholas. But then since this was specific to the Alpine region, they were able to kind of send it off into the world, and again it just reinforces Christian beliefs. But something that I thought was
tongue.
These are from the Krampuslauf.
Oh, fun! Wow.
Yeah.
You know what this reminds me of? What is the Celtic one where they put in Wales? They put horse skeletal heads on them, and they run around and they like sing in rhymes.
Huh? I'm not familiar, but it seems like a thing in.
What is it? Wait, what is it called?
That's all of my information.
Interesting, because Krampus is really kind of a horror figure. There have been a lot of horror movies featuring Krampus recently.
Yes. It's interesting that it's made its way into Western culture, if that's a fair statement.
I mean, I think Austria is pretty considered Western culture.
I guess so.
Do you mean like American culture?
Yeah, that's what I mean to say.
Yeah.
That movie, especially, I think the grandmother in it is German, and she has a whole little thing. It's a good movie. I swear, you should watch it. It's just interesting. There's always like a macabre theme associated with the holidays, like we can see in like A Christmas Carol, as you had mentioned. Lots of death in that one. So it's interesting.
Before Christmas, which isn't like a traditional story, but like still.
Yeah, well, and it's not traditional, but it's become a classic tale. So I don't know. I just think that's interesting.
I actually, before we did this, I was looking at a couple of pictures, like images of Krampus, and honestly, the Grinch, I feel like was heavily influenced by some of the modern depictions of Krampus.
That's interesting.
Because he's like a furry, creepy guy,
Yeah.
Yeah, if you've ever seen Krampus, if he's ever stuffed you full of straw, let us know down below. I'm very curious to know how that went. Oh. So like now Krampus doesn't do that anymore, he just eats them?
Yeah, he's a changed man. He's a changed demon.
He's a changed being.
I guess that's all.
Yes, I've had most of my eggnog.
I've ignored mine.
No matter what you celebrate, have a nice winter. Watch out for the demons trying to eat you.
Yes.
And stay safe in these COVID times. I would encourage you not to go into gatherings with people. Happy holidays.
Yes.
What?
Nothing. I just hate outros so much.
Oh, okay.
It's so awkward.
Then I'll take it. Happy
Good
holidays.
Yule!